Do you dread when you're having a sales conversation and somebody says, well, I'm gonna have to talk to my husband first, or I need to run that past my wife? I'm Amy Walker, and I help small business owners be able to get the skills to grow their business while being able to maintain balance in their lives. And today I'm gonna share with you exactly what to say when you get that common and super annoying sales objection. For all the tips that you need to grow your business and maintain life balance, make sure that you subscribe to the channel and hit that bell so that you can get notified when new videos come out every Tuesday. Overcoming sales objections is probably one of the most important skills when it comes to increasing your closing ratio. Well, today I'm going to show you exactly what to say so you can rock that sales objection with confidence. I'm going to show you how to shift your thinking, what questions to ask, and how to reframe that conversation with their spouse so that spouse objection can stop blocking your progress. Before we jump into it, do you have any other sales objections that you'd like me to cover in future videos? Go ahead and drop it in the comment section. Tell me what sales objection you're currently getting that's keeping you a little bit hung up. All right, let's jump into our content. So the first thing you've got to understand is that sales objections are normal. It's not about you, it's not about your product, it's not about your service, it's not about whether they do or do not want to do it. The sales objections that they give you are the same objections that they give everybody. And truthfully, it's the same stories that they have going on in their life that stop them from doing the things that they want to do on a regular basis. So it's not personal, it doesn't have anything to do with us. What we do want to do is we want to help them remove the objections out of their way and get to the destination that they want. And that's what our job is as a salesperson, is to help them get what they want, help them get out of their own way. So let's talk about the psychology behind I need to talk to my spouse. There's a few reasons why this comes up, and it doesn't all have to do with having a controlling spouse that controls the purse strings. Sometimes it's a personal trust issue. They don't trust themselves to make a good decision. Or maybe there's somebody who really hates making decisions, and so they want other people to make them for them. Or maybe they want to say no, but they don't feel like they have the ability to say no to you, and so they're passing blame to their spouse so their spouse can say no to you. Or maybe it could be that they legitimately have a spouse who's going to have concerns with it. Or it could be that they have a super controlling, super jerky spouse that never supports them in anything that they do. Here's the thing with the psychology. You have made up a story about why they're saying they need to talk to their spouse, and you've made up the story, you've bought it, you've purchased it, and I always tell my clients that stories are expensive and you can't afford to buy them. So the first thing that you can do to start moving past this objection is to change the story inside of your head from one of jumping to conclusion. And as soon as they say, you know, I have to talk to my spouse first, you're filling in the blank with what the reason is why they need to have that conversation, instead of just saying, okay, I'm going to ask more questions. My next tip for you to look at is actually, how does this show up for you? Do you use this objection? Do you say, I'm going to have to talk to my spouse first? Because there is this crazy principle when it comes to overcoming sales objections that doesn't really make sense in a tactile, data-driven type of a way, but works every single time. If you're getting a lot of an objection, find out why you are personally using that same objection in your life and stop using it. So for me, when that shows up, it is because I am feeling overwhelmed with all of the stuff that I have in my life, and I don't want to have one more thing that falls on my shoulders. And so I want to pass the buck, and I want my husband to be the one who makes the decision, so it's one less thing that I have to do. That is why I use that objection. And so if I notice that coming to me and I think, okay, have I said that recently? I have almost always said it, because when I'm not in that space of having that objection, I just don't get stopped up by other people's concerns. We move through it really quickly. Like you naturally put out this vibe that is not a big deal, and so you don't get that objection. So if you want that, and that works with any of them, if you want people to stop telling you that they don't have money, you stop using that as an excuse and get to the root of what's really going on. And then all of a sudden, it magically clears itself up. Next principle, I'm going to give you a quick reminder of the 4-step process for overcoming objections. And if you want more information on this, go ahead and click up and you can watch that video that goes through that 4-step process. So to overcome objections, quick reminder, there's 4 things you have to do. Acknowledge what they just said, ask a question, get permission, give them more information. That's it. Simple process will help you overcome any objections. But let's go into the specifics of how this works with the spouse. So the first thing we do is we acknowledge what they just said. Okay, so it sounds like you are interested, but you just need to run it by your spouse first. So acknowledge what they just said. And if they were using the spouse as an excuse just to get off the hook of having to say that, it was the spouse who says no, they'll probably be like, well, I'm not sure if I'm interested. And then you can address the concern, which is they're not sure. That's the root concern. But most of the time they'll say, yeah, I just need to run it past my spouse. And then I say, okay, well, can I ask you a question? That's the second part. What do you think your spouse will say? Just write that question down and use it over and over again. Well, can I ask you a question? What do you think your spouse will say? That is going to get you to the next phase, which is, where are they really? Are they somebody who their spouse is going to say yes, but they just want to run it past them out of respect and because they have an agreement? Is it somebody who they think that their spouse is going to have serious concerns? Is it somebody who they think that their spouse is going to say straight up no, and they find it very unlikely that they're going to be able to progress the conversation? So we need to know what they're walking into. Then what I do is my third piece, which is the permission piece, is I'm going to say, well, do I have permission to brainstorm with you a little bit and give you some tips on how to present this to your spouse? If they give me permission, now I can give them information, and it has shifted the conversation. Most people do objections like this. They say, well, I'm going to have to talk to my spouse first. And then they tell them something like, well, when you talk to your spouse, tell them this and this and this and this. And that person doesn't feel heard. They don't feel validated. Again, that information, if you watch the video on questions in your sales, that information may or may not be landing. You just don't know. So by asking it this way, you're going to be in a position where you can now give them some really great advice, really great tips, really great information. If somebody says, well, they'll say yes, we always run these things past each other. I say, great, well, let's go ahead and do this. Let's go ahead and get you enrolled and get you signed up. We can do the paperwork while we're both here together today. And then I just won't process it until after you've had a chance to talk with your spouse, and then we can run it through at that point. Does that work for you? And that makes it really smooth, and most of the time they say yes. If they are somebody who their spouse is just going to have questions or concerns, I say, well, do I have permission to throw an idea out there? What if the 3 of us got on a call and we talked through this together? So that way it's not, secondhand information, and I can answer all of the questions that they have directly. Would that be helpful? Most of the time they say yes. And then I am really good at closing spouses, because a lot of times the spouse is just concerned, like, is this going to be one more thing that you waste money on? And as soon as they see their substance there and that I get the problems that their spouse has with their business, they become my biggest cheerleaders. So that's how I approach that one. If they say, I really think they're going to be opposed to it, and they start telling me why, then I can have the conversation about permission and support. So I am a big believer that children ask their parents for permission, and spouses have much better, much healthier relationships if they ask each other for support. So if you send that person home and they go and say, I really want to do this thing, can I do it? And the spouse says no, then you're at an impasse. But if they go home and they say, and this is how I have them scripted out, honey, I'm sure you've probably noticed I've been struggling with X. They state the problem. I've been looking for strategies or solutions or ideas that could help me get there, and I feel like I've found it. I found this program that teaches me, and they give out the bullet points, and I would like to do it. Will you support me on that? That is such a different, more positive conversation, because it's a starting point of a conversation. I'm not saying every spouse goes home and says, yes, baby, I'll support you. A lot of times it's, I don't know, because I have these concerns. But now, instead of it being a no and then it's an argument and then somebody ends up sleeping on the couch, Now it's these are my concerns. This is why I'm unsure if I can support you. And now they can actually have a productive conversation. They might say yes, they might not say yes, but it ends up being a much better experience for them. And people who would have been a straight up, no way, Jose, we're not closing, do sometimes close. So it's pretty productive. So now you know exactly what to say when that spouse objection comes up, and knowing what to say will make a huge difference. But you know what else makes a huge difference is your personal confidence. And so if you're struggling with confidence in the sales conversations, make sure you drop into the description and go ahead and get my free ebook on building your sales confidence. Also, if you want to join a community of like-minded business owners and entrepreneurs who are growing their business, trying to create balance, if you want access to our weekly Q&As, daily inspiration, and a chance to just connect and network, go ahead and join us in our private Facebook community, the CEO Spot. I'd love to see you over there. If you liked this video, please let me know by leaving me a comment, liking, sharing with other business owners in your network. And comment below with helpful if you found this to be helpful, so I know we should create more content like this. All right, so make sure you go grab that Sales Confidence ebook, join the private Facebook community, comment, like, share, and make sure you come back again next week for more helpful tips to help you grow your business while maintaining life balance.